All right, what is good, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about the 5 things that kept me broke and unprofitable when I first started my day trading journey. So coming in at number 1 was being way too hyperfixated on the actual money aspect and not anything else. Okay, so when I first came into day trading, I was so focused on making the most amount of money as fast as I can because that's what I was seeing on Instagram, right? You guys log on to Instagram, you guys log on to TikTok, whatever the fuck, and you guys see these traders making 50 grand a trade, 100 grand a trade, fucking some make $1 million in a day, right? And then we think we can replicate that and do the exact same thing when we don't know anything, right? Because we think it's just so easy and it's just a get quick rich scheme at the end of the day, when in reality it's fucking not, right? So I was so focused on making money fast as possible that all it was doing was just prolonging my journey for the fucking worse, right? Like I said, I'll log on to Instagram and see traders make that and think I can replicate it, yet I don't know how to day trade. And I'm coming on the charts, I'm just getting fucked. I'm taking profits where I shouldn't take profits just because I see a good dollar amount and not actual draws on liquidity that makes sense, right? Everything was emotional and money based instead of strategical. And that is really what fucked me in the very beginning. And that's why I stayed unprofitable as long as I did. Granted, it was only 6 months, but that is why it could have been a lot sooner I became profitable, right? But being too hyperfixated on the money is why I didn't see profitability a lot sooner than I should have. And actually, I shouldn't have seen it any sooner than I did because I was, like I said, I was too hyperfixated on that. As soon as I fixed that, though, is when shit started to change and when I seen this money start rolling in. But as if you go into day trading and you see fucking trading as a get quick rich scheme, I'll tell you right now, you might as well just not even do it and save yourself your time and resources because you're just going to end up wasting your money at the end of the day. And it's not going to be worth it. You're going to fucking go into distress, shit like that. It's a complete mind fuck, especially when you think like that and when you're only worried about the money. It's a complete mind fuck and it can turn everything from good to fucking absolute shit in the matter of literally a couple trades. That's how quick it can be, okay? So with that being said, the second point I want to make is straight up just rushing the process. And I'm going to go in order from learning all the way up until the payout stage, right? So when I first started learning, like I said previously, I was too hyperfixated on the money, and I just wanted the money right then and right there. So what was I trying to do? I was trying to rush the entire process so I can get rich quick. Again, that's not the way to fucking do things, especially when you're day trading, okay? You have to learn the skill first. I embraced the process, and I look back on it now, and I really enjoyed what I did. I actually kind of miss those days of me going back and watching, TJR's boot camp and learning it and taking notes and this and that. I do kind of miss those days. But what was I doing during those processes or during that process when I was learning? Well, I was buying funded accounts and straight up just essentially full porting them and just trying to make as much money as I possibly could. And that's not the way to fucking do it, okay? I still didn't learn. I somehow passed some evals, right? I got into the XFA stage. Now I'm like, great. Let's make as much fucking money as I possibly can. I won my first trade in the XFA stage. I won my second trade. I'm up like $1,800 in my account. I'm 2 for 2. Haven't lost a trade yet, right? What happened the next day? I ended up blowing the fucking XFAs. Why? Well, because I was still doing dumbass shit. I was still full porting. I was still trying to rush the process. I was still trying to fucking make as much money as I possibly could in the quickest amount of time. I was rushing everything, right? From the learning stage all the way up until the XFA stage and then the payout stage as well. Because what could I have done with the XFA? Well, I could have just took my time, right? Enjoyed the fucking process, stopped rushing it, and slowly racked in the money and got a payout. But no, I ended up blowing the XFA, and I didn't end up passing an eval for the next like month and a half or 2 months after that. Why? Well, because again, I was trying to rush them and I was full porting them, and it just kept bringing me back to square one every single time. Square one. Okay, I would get to square 2, back to square 1. What is square 3? Square 3 is the XFA. Okay, couldn't get past square 2 because I was doing dumbass shit on a day-to-day basis. I was rushing the process instead of being patient. I was rushing my setups. Okay, I was rushing the learning process. I was rushing the XFA stage, and I was rushing the payouts. Okay, and you cannot do that again because you're going to start back at square 1 every single time. Please take it from what I'm saying is because I learned the fucking hard way. So when I see other people do it, I'll like give them a shot. I'm like, because it's inevitable. Every trader is gonna go through it. But if you keep doing the same mistake over and over and over again, you're a fucking idiot. And I was a fucking idiot. Why? Because I was making the same mistake over and over and over again. And I look back on it now, I'm like, dude, what was I doing? I could have been so much farther ahead or further ahead if I just stayed patient. And actually, the more patience you have, the farther ahead you will go. Less is always more in trading. Believe it or not. When you're first learning, yes, okay, you want to learn as much as you can, but you don't want to rush the process, right? And then as you already know the shit, the less time you have on the charts, the more profitable you'll be. I I fucking promise you that, okay? So if you're in the position that I was, where you're just rushing the fucking setups or rushing the process, trying to get that payout as soon as possible, trying to make as much money as soon as possible, just stop, okay? Take a deep breath, take a 1 trade at a time, 2 trades a day max, okay? And just do it like that. Some days I don't even trade anymore. When in reality, I went like 3 months without, I couldn't not take a trade. And now I'm okay with taking a trade. Today, I didn't even take a trade. Today is September 22nd. I did not take a trade today, okay? Stop rushing the process. Moving on over to point number 3 is going to be just not learning from my mistakes. And mistakes can include losses, just dumb things I did in the market, me blowing accounts because I was just being stupid, right? Whatever the mistake may be, I was not learning from it. Why? Because I kept doing the same thing for about 4 or 5 months straight, over and over and over again. So let's start off with losses, for example. So I journal every single trade now. And back in the day, when I first started when I first started trading, I would journal my trades, but it was always so much harder for me to journal the trades I lost rather than I won. I had no problem journaling the trades I won, but when I lost a trade, I would hate to look at it. And that was the fucked up mindset I had. Because if anything, if you're not going to journal a trade, it should be the trade you won, right? And you should be journaling what you lost. Why did you lose? How were you feeling during that? What could you have done different, right? You need to learn from your mistakes or your losses in order to progress, especially when it comes to this specific skill. Okay, you're never going to be perfect. No matter how good of a trader you are, you're always going to constantly learn. Okay, so build as much knowledge as you possibly can. Learn what you need to know regarding your strategy. And then when you enter the market, learn from your losses. Okay, why did you lose? What happened in the market? Was there an SMT going against my bias, right? Was there an unfilled for value gap somewhere that I missed that price wanted to go to first before continuing? What happened? Okay, because I guarantee you it's probably not your strategy. It's probably just your technical analysis, okay? And how do you build a better technical analysis? Well, you have to journal your trades. And the best way to learn is actually journaling the trades you fucking lost. Why? Because there's always something, every trade you take, there's something to learn from. Even the ones you won with 0 drawdown, there's something you probably could have done better, even in the slightest way, shape, or form, right? We have to be brutally honest with ourselves, right? But the trades we lost, there is for sure something we could have done better. Even if it was an A+++ setup, there's probably one minor tweak that we could have done something better. Whether it was stop loss placement, right? Whether we didn't get edge of our TP, but our TP kind of got edge and then price reverse, right? We could have had our TP a little lower. What was the reason why we lost that trade? Okay, so learn from your mistakes, and that is something I stress about, or not stress about, but I stress to you guys. I can't stress that enough, is you guys have to learn from your mistakes, okay? If you take a loss, take it to the fucking chin and see what you could have done better. You will never progress if you cannot learn from your mistakes or your losses, okay? Now, bringing me on to point number 4 is thinking I needed the next best strategy in order to be profitable, right? I needed the 100% win rate strategy in order to be profitable. In reality, that is not the case. Something I didn't know when I first started trading is, well, I was super blindsided. Why? By the fucking trading porn I would see on TikTok, which would be traders making $100,000 a day, right? $100,000 a trade. I think I needed the next best strategy and the 100% win rate strategy. If I would have known just to stick to one strategy and master what I needed to know for those strategies, not worry about anything else, right? For example, I trade inversions. I don't trade rejection blocks. I don't even know what that is. So why would I learn about rejection blocks if I trade inversions? Why would I learn about that? It makes no sense because it doesn't incorporate into each other, okay? So what I was doing was I was learning all these different strategies and trying to incorporate them into one, and essentially I was just confusing myself. I was making it a lot more harder on my fucking mental, right? I was losing trades because I was trying to do this, and that all in one when I should have just kept it simple, right? I needed to keep it simple, and that's just not what I was doing. I was making it essentially just as hard as possible on myself. And you guys should not do that. Stick to one strategy. Learn only what you need to know. Yes, it's good to know what an order block is and like equilibrium and this and that. But if you trade inversions, just focus on inversion for value gaps, SMTs, and liquidity sweeps. Obviously, it's good to know other confluences so you can incorporate it into your plan. But literally, you don't need to know what a fucking rejection block is if you're just trading a simple continuation model. It makes no sense. You're just going to confuse yourself. And trading is already as hard as it is. Okay, it's already one of the most difficult things you can do on a day-to-day basis. So why make it more hard on yourself? Okay, dumb it down as much as possible and keep it fucking simple. Stop strategy hopping, because when you do, right, you get halfway through one strategy, you learn half of it, and then you take a few L's, so you want to go to a different strategy, but now you're starting again back at square one with that fucking new strategy you're trying to learn when you could have just stuck to the first one and continued to master it. Okay, so stop strategy hopping. There is no next best strategy. There is no 100% win rate strategy. No. Pick a strategy, pick a mentor, learn from him, and master that shit. Because I promise you guys, most of these mentors are actually pretty good. Yes, there's some that are fucking idiots and they will scam you. Yes. Just read the reviews, okay? Go on TikTok, go on Instagram. There's a lot of free shit out there. Go on my YouTube. Everything's for free on my YouTube. And learn a proven system, okay? Stop trying to do this, and that and confuse yourself. You're only making it harder on yourself. I promise you that. The final major thing that kept me broke and unprofitable in my day trading journey was me failing to realize that psychology is 95% in trading. I was so, like I said, too hyper fixated on the money and too focused on getting the next best fucking strategy and too focused on rushing it that it was blocking out what was really important, and that was me and my own head getting in my own way, right? I've talked about this in previous videos. Your psychology is basically everything when it comes to trading. The technical analysis part isn't really that hard. The hardest part is you mastering your own psychology. Why? Because you take a loss, you see that red P&L, and your brain automatically thinks, fuck, let me get back into the market. But the second you can tame your brain, the second everything will start to go for the better. And that's what happened to me. Literally, the day I had that conversation with, because I've had plenty of conversations with myself in the mirror, but the day I actually took action and decided to change what I've been talking about in the mirror, that was the day everything changed. That was the day I became profitable. Even though I still haven't got a payout yet, that was the exact moment I became profitable. And I will never forget that day. I literally said, okay, I'm done lying to myself. I'm done doing this bullshit over and over and over again. I'm standing in my own way. I'm the only person standing in my own way. When you trade, it is you versus you only. It is you versus your fucking head. That is it. And I was failing to realize that. For 6 months straight, I was getting fucked over and over and over again. Just I was getting fucked by the market. But no, the day I just relaxed, stopped rushing everything, started using risk management, right? Started following my rules, only taking 2 trades a day. If I won the first one, I was done. If I lost my first one, I would look for a second one. And if I lost both, then I'm done for the day. Journal all my trades, learn from my losses, right? I was being disciplined. I was doing what I had to do on a day-to-day basis in order to become a profitable trader. Okay? That is what changed everything for me. It wasn't the strategy. No, it was me realizing that I'm standing in my own way and I need to fix it. And I'm the only person that can fix that. Why? Because my brain is the only thing that is essentially fucking me at the end of the day. It's not NASDAQ's fault. It's not ES's fault. No, it's my fucking fault.